Hello, everybody. So something happened with the live stream, but I wanted to get this up so people can see this. So we're going to talk about the transit program as of October 19th, actually, until October 25th. Okay. So we're in between eclipses, right? We just had our solar eclipse last Saturday and then the lunar eclipse. The bookend is on the 28th, October 28th. So you may be feeling a little bit disoriented, right? Like you're getting your sea legs. Some big shifts have happened, even for me personally too. Feeling very disoriented. My sleep has been up and down and crazy. My energy levels have been really, really down, like exhausted, and then having a surge of energy. And it's just, so this is the time to just ride the energy, surrender to the energy. Don't try to let your mind and ego take over of what you got to do and your to-do lists, right? Your only to-do is to stabilize in this energy, right? And know that you're being supported in that because we're in a time of great transformation right now. The other thing that I forgot to mention about eclipse energy, we have the electromagnetic field of the Earth. We have our own electromagnetic field. It's our aura. So we have the aura of the Earth. Well, during eclipses, it disrupts the energy flow. So this is why I can feel like you're getting a reboot, an energetic reboot, because it's cutting off the usual samsaras, the habits, right? The habits of the mind, and then the unconscious starts to release and things like that. So this is a time, and it ripples for 6 months after as well. So this is a time to just really, calibrate. You've gone through a big shift. You're going to go through another shift. We're still in this energy, right? Especially now between the bookends. So keep that in mind. But I was going to do a live stream on the eclipse coming up on the 28th, but I'll do that on Sunday. So look around 3:30 my time, 3:33 p.m. my time, Hawaii Standard Time on sunday. I'll be talking about the eclipse. So what's really interesting to me right here, let me just get myself out of the way here. You can see the sun is going to be here all week long, right? It's actually activated right now on the 19th. It's in the 50.1. There's the 50. This is our most ancient awareness system. So it's called the splenic awareness system. This is what keeps us healthy, keeps us alive, kept the species alive. It's done a good job, hasn't it? Right? So it's activating the 50. So what really caught my attention is the eclipse that's coming up is activating the 27. It's in the 27.4, right? So we're in this all week, and then boom, the moon moves, the eclipse moves and activates that 27. So it's worth looking at, right? Because this is a channel. And this channel is called the channel of preservation. It's part of tribal consciousness. Tribal consciousness is really up right now. The tribe, we're seeing that in the Middle East. Okay. This is called the channel of preservation. So this is the channel of values, the 50, and the channel of caring, the 27. So this is about preserving the preservation of tribal life, right? The values. It's about preserving the values of the tribe. It's what we pass on to the children of the tribe, right? So if you have this natally, you want to check your chart, go to the information box below. It's like, I have no idea what human design is about. We'll get your free chart. You don't even need to give your email, and check to see if you have this, the 5027 or the 50. And this is really going to apply to you, right? Because you have it natally. So this is preserving the infrastructure of the tribe, right? And it's all about the values. It's about tribal laws, things like that, right? So that's going to give us a little information about what that 50 is about. And this is the values or lack of values, because remember, we live in a plane of duality. So there's this or that, right, with the 50. So you can see it's there all week long, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and right till the 25th, 24. I don't have the 24 in here, right? But you can see that we're that 50, right? It's the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5 and the 6, right? And then it's ended, then it moves on. Okay. So right away, what do we see? Well, we see this channel of struggle is activated tomorrow. That's the 3828, but the 38's, the moon's activating the 38. So that means that it's not going to be a long transit because this is the mandala, right? So all the planets move around the mandala. You can see the signs, right? The zodiac signs. Well, the moon takes a month to move around all of those. That's the fastest, right? So that means it's moving 2 gates per day. So it's not going to last very long, this definition. And this is the channel of struggle. So tomorrow can feel like a struggle, or you're seeing people around you struggling in their life. And if you have the channel of struggle natally, then it's really healthy for you. It makes you stronger. You need a challenge. You need struggle as you grow from that. But if you don't have this channel, that's not you, right? That's not you. And then the channel of awareness here, right? Inner knowing, that's also 61 is the moon's activating that. So not for very long, the moon and Jupiter. So we don't pay too much attention to that. But look, okay, well, what's common? What's common here is this. The 3 and the 60. So the 3's in the Earth position and the 60's in Pluto. Okay, so the Earth and Pluto activating the channel of mutation. This is very, very important. Isn't it interesting that this mutative energy is here in between the bookends of the eclipse, right? So this is mutative energy. It can make you possibly feel melancholy, right? It brings out melancholy with people, not depression. It's a chemistry in the body. And what does that mean? That means you are mutative. You're a mutative agent of mutation. So if you've got this natally, you're already this 360. It's individual circuitry. It's not tribal, right? So that means that it's on, off, on, off. It's got an on, off, on, off. It means you go through melancholy. You don't know when this mutation's coming, but it happens. And this is global. All around the globe, this mutation energy is happening, right? So this is emanating out to the field of human consciousness. So that's really, really key. That's powerful. Okay. And if we go to the program right here in the 50, let's see here. Okay, we go to the program. This is the neutrino stream. That's what I'm talking about. This is what this channel is all about, the neutrino stream. 70% of neutrinos. What's a neutrino? A neutrino is a subatomic particle that has weight. That means it has information. It's an information field, right? Trillions and trillions of neutrinos are bombarding your body right now. They move through solid objects. And this is what we call the program in human design. We could call this consciousness, right? The program that's influencing us, all of humanity, right? Motivating us. We're not aware of it, right? We're not aware of it. So 70% from the sun, 20% of those neutrinos come from Jupiter, and 10% come from the other stars. Okay, so that's what the chart is based on. It's an imprint of these neutrinos. So the program this week leading up to the lunar eclipse is the shadow of corruption. The shadow of corruption. So this will be surfacing. We're going to see that. We're not only going to see it, right? We're going to see it because the sun, 70%, right? So we're going to see it out as an effect out in the world. Corruption, like we haven't seen corruption already. We're going to really see it this week. And then look, Mercury's activating it too, right? Is in the 50. Let's see if it's there all week. Oh, it moves into the 32. Okay. Okay, it's only there for a day or two. Corruption right there. So because Mercury moves fast too around the planet around the sun. Okay, so we'll be talking about it, we'll be thinking about it, we'll be communicating it. We're going to see corruption. So the usual suspects of corruption that we've seen basically since 2020, right? 2020, because we're in the last 7-year cycle of this 400-year cycle of the cross of planning is coming to an end in 2027. Okay, so we're in the last 7 years of this. We're in the last leg of the marathon, right? So all what is hidden has to come up. So the 50 is all about that. It's all about hidden, right? Hidden corruption. So we think a little g, right? Little g, getting bribes and selling their soul for money and serving themselves in a selfish way, serving their masters, right? Corruption. We know what that is. Okay, but let's look a little bit deeper at this corruption. Corruption means something's not working, right? Something is corrupt. It's not in its origins anymore. You know, if you got a corrupt file on your malware or something on your computer, then it completely corrupts your computer, right? It's not working properly. Everything's distorted. Well, that's what corruption is. So let's look at corruption this week then. Let's look at it. I just want to remind people that we live in a plane of duality, right? Our earth plane is a plane of duality. That means that where you find one thing, you're going to find its opposite. It's always equal, opposite. The dark and the light, for instance, night and day, for instance, hot and cold, right? The extremes. This is the plane of duality that we live in. Well, corruption is when we're out of balance, when we're in this ego, okay? And this is the unit of consciousness that's related to the mind, connected to the mind. This is identity, right? It's identity. So what we're seeing, what's the corruption? We're seeing separation. We're already seeing it out in the world. You got to take a side. Are you with us or are you against us? That's tribal consciousness, that blind loyalty. If you disagree with us, you're not with us. You're the enemy. It's this or that. It's extreme separation. It's about taking sides, right? And it's about division. And this is all smells of that ego, right? This is ego consciousness. I'm identifying with this side. I'm identifying with this point of view, and I'm going to fight. And tribal consciousness is about that. It's about territory. It's about revenge. It's about us and them. We have to fight. And one of the 50 line 5 is genocide. That's how extreme this is, right? The shadow is genocide. Well, we have to completely destroy the genetic continuation of this other tribe, right? It can get very, very extreme. And tribal consciousness is always trying to solve its problems through the material. The ego and tribal consciousness is very limited in its point of view. That's all that it sees. It doesn't see the bigger picture, right? It only sees the material, And we've seen how this has gotten us into so much trouble as a humanity, because this is incorrect, right? Problems that we see, they're not solved on the material, right? Because it's trying to solve the problem with the same consciousness that created the problem. We've got to go inward, right? We have to go inward. So if you want peace, you don't go bombing and killing other people and okay, now we got peace, right? That's tribal consciousness. It's very, very limited, right? We want peace in the world, then we have to emanate peace. We have to find the peace within, in our own self, and then we emanate that out. And this is how we shift the world as individuals, right? But the tribe can't hear that. They're not in a state of consciousness where they can even comprehend what that means, right? Because they're so connected to the material and the us and them and the duality. Tribal consciousness is definitely in duality. So we're seeing the tribal consciousness has to go, right? We're seeing the dismantling of the ego right now. We're seeing the dismantling of tribal consciousness. Only individual consciousness and collective consciousness will be left. So we're seeing it in the death throes. And this is our most ancient tribes are surfacing right now. And we're seeing this battle, right? This battle. So for you as a spiritual being having human experiences that are walking the path of ascension, it means to transcend this plane of duality. It means not to take sides, right? Not to take sides, that we're all one and we're seeing the play of consciousness playing out. We're seeing the program playing out, right? The program is in charge. The other thing with the 50, right? With the 50 as well, this is connected to like secret societies. Somebody the other day said, because the tribal consciousness is leaving, right? And then somebody the other day said, well, the WEF is going to love that, the breakdown of the family. I talked about with the 4037, the breakdown of the family and traditional values, basically tribal. They're doing it all. These secret societies are in charge of destroying family values and destroying tribal values. No, they're not in charge of it at all. The program is in charge of it. The program's doing all of this. We have no control over this. This is our evolutionary process as a humanity. And yes, the WEF and these secret societies may think we have all the power and we're doing everything. It's like, no, the program's working through them even. The program's working through us all, right? So what's important, so just remember that, because that's taking sides too. It's them. We need to destroy them. As soon as you're in that state, boom, the Maya's got you because you're in duality. The ego's got you. You're trapped. I can't move out of this state of consciousness. We're here to transcend duality. So remember that even these secret societies are under the control of the program. They're just playing their part. They're playing their role, right, in this program. So keep that in mind, that they're not in charge, okay? So let's go to a little bit deeper with this 50. So the 50 is the gate of values. It's the gate of values, and this is ancient, right? So every this ancient awareness system, right? The splenic awareness system, all of these gates, see them? The 18, 28, 32, 50, 44, 57, 48. They all represent fears, ancient fears. So what's the fear in the 50? It's the fear of responsibility, the fear of responsibility. So let's take it to, and so these are values that lead to laws, tribal laws, right? Tribal laws, right? This is the purpose of this 50 here. So we're going to see this theme come up this week, tribal laws and values. So fear of responsibility. And we've been seeing this out in the world. I've seen this echoed, right? So remember that all these institutions are coming down, for the cross of planning is disappearing, and that means all those institutions that are connected to that global frequency of the cross of planning that supported us, supported the tribe, that's all disappearing, and that means little g, right? Little g. And we're seeing that out in the world with all of these disasters. Right here on Maui, in Lahaina, and East Palestine, and Greece. And if you look at other places, one of the biggest complaints that I've seen is little g wasn't there for us. Little g didn't come and help us. Little g showed up maybe a week, 2 weeks later. We're still waiting for help from little g, right? That's because little g is like the Titanic. Little g's going down. That we have to pull away from not depending on little g to help and support us, because this old consciousness is going away. right? And that what they did say is like, oh, citizens and other people and people from our community, they're the ones that came in and helped us, right? So responsibility or not. So little g is not taking responsibility anymore because it's not being motivated by the program, right? This program's ending. The program is like, no more support in this way from little g, because a new system, right? A new system is going to emerge for the cross of the sleeping phoenix that starts in 2027. Okay, so this could be you for you personally. It's taking responsibility for your own life and your own state of consciousness, taking responsibility for your little world, right? It's too overwhelming to think of, oh, I can't, there's no way I can fix the big, all the planet. Like it's way too big. It's way too overwhelming. But you can take responsibility for your little world, right? The people that you see in your day-to-day life, right? So it's taking, not avoiding responsibility. And this is like, oh, well, little g's got systems and things to help these people that are homeless, and I don't have to do anything. It's not my responsibility. You want to start taking responsibility, and this means becoming a spiritual adult. So not fearing that, right? Not fearing that. And this is if it's correct for you, right? So in terms of values, remember that our values were an imposition. Remember what we're doing right now is we're letting go of all of our conditioning. So when you were a child, you were imposed upon. These are your values according to our family and our family values and our cultural values and our national values and our religious values, and they all got imposed on us, right? And that some of the values turned into laws, right? Turned into laws. Okay. So what's interesting, and you may have seen this before, we've seen a couple of these stories already. This woman was fined and arrested for feeding the homeless people. Okay, so criminalizing kindness. So there's the tent city in Arizona and Phoenix, right? So her values, her individual value, right? I value kindness and sharing of my abundance. That's naturally, that comes from me, right? So how this works, because your values aren't going to come from the external anymore. You can't just take on the values of somebody else, right? Even though they may sound really nice to the mind. It has to come from your authentic self, right? Your authentic self. These are your true values. Your true values that are authentic to you, and they're connected to divine law. Okay. So let's take it to human design. So you're a generator, manifesting generator, and you're walking down the street, right? And you see all these tents. Maybe you're seeing kids and they're crying and they're dirty and they're hungry. They're not being taken care of. And your navel has a response to this, right? So maybe somebody next to you says, we should do something about this. Maybe we can go to the grocery store and buy some food and buy them a stove or something so they can cook and clean, and just giving them some just basic things, right? And your navel's like, yes, it's a big yes. Well, this is you following your values. I value kindness, right? I want to share my abundance to people, especially children, right? The 50s about children that are suffering, right? So that's true for you. But then look what you come against, right? You come up against man's law. Okay. These are tribal laws, man's law. So and they move through time, right? They're fickle. These laws are fickle. You know, at one time there was a law that you couldn't tie up your horse in front of a bank. You have to tie it up in the back with other horses. That's a law, like still in the law book somewhere, right? but it changes. We're not riding around in horses anymore, right? We've got cars now. So the laws change with the times, right? So man's law is fickle, just like this, criminalizing kindness. And I don't know why they would justify not being able to feed people, right? I don't know. There's probably some crazy, stupid reason. This time, right? So you're coming up against this, right? So what do you want to follow now? Right? Well, you want to obey your authenticity. You want to obey your authenticity because this stuff's going to change. And what you know what's right and what's wrong. You know what's divine law. You don't need to look in the holy book and the commandments and all that. You already know that. When you're connected to your true self, your authentic self, you know what's right and wrong. So this is how your values this week will come through. Maybe you already know what your values are. They're going to come through your experiences. I didn't know that I valued that, but I had this experience and I realized I do value kindness, right? I do value compassion, right? So just be aware of that coming up this week and use your strategy, your human design strategy. So if you're a projector, then you wait to be recognized and invited, and you're invited to do something, and then you realize, I value this. I've been invited to participate in this, right? As a guide, as a leader, and I really value this now. That's how you learn. Respond, and then manifesting generator response, and manifester asking permission, informing, initiating, and then the reflector following the cycles of the moon, right? So this is the way that you're going to find your true values. We have to start stepping away from tribal. Tribal consciousness is disappearing, right? It's dissolving. These are old. It's an old consciousness. So tribal consciousness is going, and this is connected to ego consciousness. The ego and tribe are very much together. And this is about the material world. And ego consciousness is breaking down for this new age that's coming, right? That's what we're seeing, the effects of that out in the world, right? So we're all going through an ego death in a sense, the dark night of the soul as a humanity. And some will choose that ego and grip to that ego to the bitter end because they think that they believe that this is who they are, this ego. But some are going to transcend, and I hope that you are, that's listening. Okay. So tribal laws. So let's look this week and see what new laws, what potentially new laws will come up, right? Maybe something around digital ID or something like that, right? Anything. So watch this, that strip away your individual security and freedom. Right? So whenever you hear the promise of this will protect you, it's for your safety. It's for the safety of children. You want to don't be buying that hook, line, and sinker with your mind. Oh, that sounds really good. No, you want to bring it inside. Is that a match for my value, right? My values. Because these laws you want to watch coming forward, right? And you can say, like, these values are not a match. I value freedom. This does not match with me. One of my true values is freedom and individual, authentic freedom, the freedom to be myself, right? So, and that's bringing it inside, and it's getting away from the mental awareness. Remember, I talk about this, right? We're moving from a mental awareness up here, the mind, to an emotional awareness. This is happening in 2027 through that 55, right? The emotional awareness system is coming online. So we need to start training ourselves to not be giving our authority over to our own mind, because as soon as you do that, you can be manipulated up and down, right? Up and down and all around, and not even realize that, oh, that wasn't even my decision, or that wasn't even my thought or belief, or that wasn't even my values. You want to bring it down to your self, right? Your higher self. Is this true for me or not? You know? And these laws only benefit duality, right? So the this or that, the sides, the sides. Okay. The other thing I want to note too is we've got that channel of mutation is activated all week long. So there should be some real big changes from inside. And remember, melancholy is a sign that you're being mutated. That's like going to sleep and feeling really strange. You're feeling a little bit down and tired. Don't fight it. Don't listen to the mind. So let's look at the 3, right? So that's the shadow of chaos. And it's in the earth position. So we may be seeing chaos. We're already seeing chaos out in the world. And remember, with social media, right, it's bombarding people with images, right, of chaos. So just to be aware of that, right? If something's really important and you need to know it, then that information will come to you, you know? Okay. So that's what I have for this week. And look out for Sunday. I'm going to do something on the eclipse. The 27 is going to be activated with the lunar eclipse, and that happens on October 28th, right? And also, I'm doing the Phoenix webinar series about the new global cycle. I did the first part, 3 hours plus. You can download that right away. And then on Saturday, we're going to finish it off, and we're going to go deeper into what's coming, right? The major theme changes in the program for the next 400 years. We're coming out of this last 400 years, and we're seeing the breakdown of that right now. Okay. So leave your comments below and what's going on for you in between eclipses, and and let me know what your type is, and if you have any of these activations, especially the 50-27 channel or the 27 or the 50, right? And this helps you connect to other people that have the same activation, so you can learn from one another. Okay, so take really good care, and I'll see you on Sunday. And I'll see you on Saturday if you join in with the webinar series. Okay, still time to join in and you won't be left behind. Okay, so namalo everybody. Bye-bye.